During the taping of the Jack Paar program earlier this evening, Jack Paar walked off the show in protest against the deletion of one of his stories from last night's show. In the exercise of its proper responsibility to the public, NBC deleted this material last night because it considered it to be in bad taste. It is NBC's hope that Jack Paar will reconsider his action and return to the program.
Thank you very much. Good evening. You stay tuned now for 5 minutes of the latest news at any moment. NBC brings you another program with Uncle Jack and some bedtime stories. I want to read this to you. This is a little... This makes me laugh so. Advertisement in a Los Angeles newspaper. For sale, used TV set, perfect condition. Owner was little old lady who watched only Lawrence Welk. Identified for somebody. And I wanted to show you this before I do something else. Listen, someone sent this to me. Irene Hayes, Flower Shop. Will take us home for Rand. I was winding the roses. Where do you wind it? Where do you wind it? I was winding the roses. There must be something you wind. Oh, gee, isn't that stupid? Isn't that dumb of me? Oh, the whole top, pal. Okay. Now watch. I never saw it. The little people kiss. Come on. Nobody kissed, did they?
That's right, because that's a girl and a girl. But when they
that's better. Let's have that. Yeah, that's better. Let's keep everything straight from now on, you know. Come on. Let's go there. A good smackaroo. There we go. Come on, sweetie, kiss him. Look at this one. Look at that one. You know what it is? I guess little magnets in the mouth, huh?
Yeah, but the magnet, the polarity of the magnet is such that when a boy meets a boy or a girl meets a girl, the poles are similar, which repel instead of attract. And the opposite's the case with
You do try and be helpful. All right, are you ready? Last night on this program, if you would read some of the newspapers, you'd think that I had committed a terrible obscenity. Last night I told a little story that I thought was about as funny as anything I had ever been given. It was a story, I'm not going to go into it because they'll cut me off again. But it is not at all, in any sense of the word, an obscene story. True, the story perhaps should not be told at 8 o'clock on Sunday night, but at this hour, it certainly could be told. It was very adult and very funny. 300 people in this audience laughed like they haven't laughed perhaps in some time. Of course, that's no excuse, is it? But then I said, was it all right? Was anyone offended? There wasn't one voice, and frequently there are voices that are surprised. This was cut out of the show last night, and I cannot understand why. Cutting it out is the right of NBC to do, but not so in some way telling you the content of it leaves a terrible impression in your mind. For instance, I'll tell you now where I got the story. It was given to me by an uncle. His niece, about 13 or 14 years old, brought it home from junior high school where it was read to her by her teacher. And the kid so liked it that the teacher had it copied to send home with each kid. That's the very same story that I told you last night. I generally am opposed to obscene stories, dirty stories on this show or anywhere. Doesn't mean that when you ad-lib, that when fast minds are thinking, double entendres and triple entendres don't occur. It is not my policy, ever. Every comedian that comes on the show with a routine I don't have time, but the producers see, and I hear jokes that are questionable. They're always out. This show has never brought you girls mainly with low-cut dresses. We don't want it around here. The previous shows before The Tonight Show did nothing but that. You saw a rear end wiggling or a low-cut dress night after night. I am opposed to it because it's nicer, I think, to wear a frock, a dress like the people who would watch would be wearing. I don't mean a nightgown, but I mean the dress that like you might wear. You know that, so if you've watched the show. There have been some exceptions. Now, do I thrive on controversy? I do not. I have turned down on this show so many people who are controversial or in delicate taste. I could get a bigger rating than we have now if I wanted to go in for that. I don't want to. You can't have it two ways. You can't sell products. You can't have people like you and at the same time use them and bring on people with delicate problems like, may I tell you, Christine Jorgensen has tried to get on the show. No. Other people with other problems, why mention them? Their problems are enough. I don't want that kind of thing on the show. I want fun, some information, and that's about all I have to say about that at the moment. Now, NBC is a little confused as to which clown cut that out of the show last night. They're not quite sure who did it. Those who saw it today, some people said they were quite surprised, and the whole thing has gotten out of hand. But the damage has been done, not only to their property, this show, The Tonight Show, which they own, I do not, but to me personally. And so my solution, I've been up for about 30 hours without an ounce of sleep. That's not your problem. But I have been. And don't worry. What was I talking about? Help me. Just tell me what I was talking about.
You said that NBC was...
Oh, yeah. So I went to them. I'm loaded with ammunition, but, you know, I don't get it out straight. So I went to them, and I said, well, you know, the least you could do, maybe ask, get permission, or give me a no. Could I show that tape again? Let me show that one hunk that's caused all this comment in the press, because there's so many guys, in a way, you know, out to zing me, that this is the way to stop it. Show what we did. And they thought about it and said, pass it off with a joke, lightly. Well, I cannot pass it off with a joke and will not. I have been wrestling with my conscience all day. I have been attacked and will be attacked it's going to go on forever now. You might as well know it, by the Hearst people, the Hearst press. And it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Because it starts in the television columns and then it spreads to the Dorothy Kilgallen column. And I finally, on the editorial page, you know, what's left for me? You know, Westbrook Pegler or the comics, you know, I don't know where to go from there. And so this is how it's going to be. I am opposed to purposely plotted, risque material. I am more vehemently opposed to yellow journalism. Now, when you take a moral stand in your television column or on your front page and your editorial page and speak how moral you are and how religious your paper is, why then in heaven's name do you have your front page full of the Finch murder trial with red headlines this big, banners on all the trucks where all the kids can see it, and in these articles going into the most, I think, obscene and personal matters that just don't belong on the front page of a reputable newspaper. I have talked about that kind of thing, and when I talked about it, I knew full well what my future was going to be. That's the way it has to be with me. Now, I've made a decision about what I'm going to do. And only one person knows about this. It's Hugh Downs. My wife doesn't know it, but I'll be home in time and I'll tell her. I'm leaving The Tonight Show. There must be a better way of making a living than this. There's a way of entertaining people without being constantly involved in some form of controversy, which is on me all the time. It's rough on my wife and child, and I don't need it. I like the National Broadcasting Company. They've been swell to me, and I've been pretty wonderful to them. I took over a show with 60 stations There's now 158. The show is sold out. It's the highest, I think, money producer for this network, and I believe I was let down by this network at a time when I could have used their help. You have been peachy to me always.
Jack, you know what I said to you? Let me add a little something here. I told Jack, when he first mentioned to me what he intended to do, that I wished he wouldn't do it, that he frequently does things he regrets, that this might be one of them. It's my hope that this isn't final. One thing we can say about Jack, he does things hastily at times that he does not hold on to. Grudges that might seem like permanent lifetime things and that are with many people have proved not to be with Jack. That was the case with Dodie Goodman. Much publicized quarrels which may have been blown out of proportion, as in the case of Jack Douglas, who is still a very good friend of Jack's. He meant what he said about NBC and his friendliness with it and his respect for it. I like to think that that respect might still be there and might still be mutual. That this is a surface thing. I do want to say that I don't think that this is, I know that this is not any planned thing on his part. God knows I'd like to be any place but here right now. It was no, he did not do this for effect. I like to think that it is not final and he'll be back. He did not plan this with an eye to having you applaud so that he would be brought back. That is not in his mind. I hope it can be put in his mind to come back to this show because he built it. The things that have been good about it, as well as the things that have been criticized, and much of it unjustly, I have had to say, have had to agree with him about things that have come up in the press and his right to defend principles that he believes against certain press treatment. I have urged and hoped that he would not allow retaliation to enter into it because he does tend to feel that he is personally attacked in areas where it is only a principle that's being attacked. And he has a right to fight for a principle. He actually has a right to fight for himself, too. I had a long talk with him before. I was unable to dissuade him from doing this. And now I am alone. Is he gone?
Yes.
There are guests on the show. Jack was, he was thoughtful enough to ask me. Shelley Berman is with us tonight. And there's a show business tradition. It must go on. Somebody once said why, but I think we know the answer. It should. Shelley Berman is here, and Jack said to me that the worst thing he felt about it was that Shelley Berman has a presentation that Jack had wanted to make to him in connection with the fantastic sales of Shelley's last record. And so he gave me the information on it, and at that time I still thought he might not go through with it. But we're going to introduce our guests. We're going to have, I guess, our customary component of commercials. They'll be a little unusual because I won't be back there with the products, perhaps. But if you bear with us, we'll go on with the show. And I think I was glad that you felt as you did. I'd like to see him come back to the show. I think he should. I don't think he should have gone. I told him that. I wish he could shrug it off. Let's do a commercial and bring our guests out.